Both when taxiing and when flying, the wing is a key element for your balance. And if you don't trust me, just try to stand on a wingfoil board without a wing. It's basically impossible to have balance. The reason the wing gives us balance is that the wing pulls us, and so our pulling back allows us to push on the board with our feet. This is the key. Pushing on the board with our feet, we are not at the mercy of the motions of the sea anymore, but we are carrying the board around with us. We are actively telling it where to go and how to stay, if it should stay flat or lean one side or the other. So, by controlling the pulling of the wing, we also summon, so to speak, the force that allows us to control the board. This force is the tension between the wing pulling and us pulling back. To create stability, these two forces need to be equal and on the same axis. And this axis can be oriented in different angles with the board, depending on how we are going, and I'll talk about this relationship in the video controlling sailing angle with the wing. But here you just need to understand that to control this tension, we need to control the wing's direction of pull, because if the wing doesn't pull roughly forward in the direction we're going, then we're not gonna go there. And controlling the wing's direction of pull depends on the wing's orientation, as I explained in the video about wind control. So if you need a refresh on wing orientation, just check that video. Orientation is the most important thing of all because without it, there is no balance. And the more stable is your control of orientation, the more stable you will be on the board. You can easily imagine that if the wing is constantly moving all over the place, the wing's direction of pull will be very difficult to follow, and therefore also to transmit to the board. Now, direction is the first thing, but then the intensity of the force is also really important. So let's take a look at how sheeting in or sheeting out will help your balance. If you suddenly get a strong gust of wind and you don't neutralize the wing, you will get a sudden jerk, which is going to cause a forward fall. So, to neutralize the gusts, your muscles need to develop a quick reaction to sheet out immediately when they feel the wind power is going above a certain threshold. And to teach your muscles to do this, you should try and hold the wing just with the front arm in strong wind. You will notice that in this position, the wing is neutral, and apart from the friction that the air does against the leading edge, it is not pulling very much. Then grab the boom with the other hand and extend your front arm completely to get into a fully sheeted in position. Now the force is huge, and if you now release your back hand, all of that force will immediately disappear. This procedure is showing clearly to your muscles that to release all the power of the wing, you have to hold it entirely with the front hand, and your back arm should stop all efforts. Once your muscles have registered this mechanism, then you don't have to actually open your back hand and let go of the wing, but simply stop all efforts of the back arm and let the front arm do the job of holding it. So you can practice this drill on the beach to register more deeply into your muscles the exact motion. The opposite exercise instead will be useful to avoid the backward fall. When you are creating good tension in the wing and you are leaning back to control it, a hole in the wind or a motion of the sea can make you lose balance backwards. But giving a strong pull with the back arm while keeping the front arm fully extended will make you instantly sheet in and give you something to pull on to straighten yourself up. If you give a very sharp tug, you will be able to save yourself from fairly extreme leaning even if there isn't much wind. In this example here, I only had about 10 knots of wind and I was using a 3.5-meter wing. So practice this drill to record the motion in your muscles and practice it both on the beach and in the water. And gradually try to save yourself always earlier and earlier until you're always staying around the balance point. And finally, let's take a look at the sideways fall, which is perhaps the most difficult to understand. It happens because, as we were saying before, your balance depends on the tension between the wing and your body. But sometimes our body, instead of leaning back along this axis, starts leaning more sideways and the equilibrium is lost. Or alternatively, you're keeping these two forces too low and the tension you create is not enough for the amount of waves. But even if the tension is sufficient, since the sea and the wind are always moving and therefore could always cause these two forces to move out of axis, the way to avoid the sideways fall is to keep your core rigid enough to control these minor swings. And when the minor swings are not so minor, you can literally pull on the wing, sheeting in or sheeting out for a moment to save yourself. The sideways fall can be either on the upwind side or on the downwind side, and by far the upwind side is the most common. And to save this, you have to keep this side of the body more rigid and even pull on the wing with the back arm if it's necessary. So, to recap, controlling balance with the wing is in fact the only way to have balance, and it all depends on the tension created between the wing and your body, of which you will have to manage direction and intensity. For further details on how to create this tension, check out Leaning Back Importance, where you will also review the backward fall. And for the forward and sideways falls, there are separate videos. So check them out, as well as all the other videos in the playlist Technical Knowledge for Beginners, of which this video is also part. I'll see you there, and in the meantime, keep flying.